All right, everybody. Hey, thank you very much for showing up today. We are a group of people called Let Them Learn in JCPS. What we are is a group of about 1,600 parents that are tired of the way this school board has neglected its duties and abused its power. Our message to the district administration and to the school board today: stop moving the goalposts to get our kids back in school. We're tired, we've had enough, and we are never going to back down until our kids are back in school. Right here, it's been 347 days since our kids have been in the classroom, since our kids have seen their classmates. That's a spring, a summer, a fall, a winter, and another spring coming up again. That's just a few days shy of an entire year. 1 year we've been waiting on our school board to do something, to do anything at all. We've been teased over and over again. In the fall, we were teased with a couple reopen dates. They moved that goalpost again until after Christmas. Then they moved it again till mid-February. Then they moved it again until March. Then they moved it again until teachers were vaccinated. Then once again to March 15th, maybe March 19th. Now they're moving it yet again. We have school board members that are saying they don't want our kids back in school at all this year. So we're looking at possibly August. That's not 347 days anymore. That's 516 days that our kids will be without school, without a classroom, without a lesson being taught to them. I've got a 4th grade daughter in the Jefferson County schools. Here's what her day on NTI looks like. 3 days a week, a morning meeting where the teacher reads them a story. 2 days a week, where she has a reading group and gets a chance to read about 3 minutes. And an optional 30-minute math class once a day. That is what our district has done to replace a 6-hour and 45-minute school day. That is what they call NTI. That is the new image of education in Jefferson County. That's not school. It's not education. And that's why we want our schools open now. The right to a public education is a fundamental right to every citizen. A video on a laptop is not education. School principals and personnel have shown that the schools are ready. Local medical professionals have advocated that schools should be open now. And many of you from the media have toured schools as recently as yesterday and shown that they're ready to open right now. So why won't the board commit to a vote? Why won't the board trust our frontline workers who all agree that schools should be open right now? Their unchecked abuse of power needs to be stopped because our children are paying the price. No more. We demand to have the option for our kids to go to school now. We demand that vote to happen now. We will not back down. We will not go away until that happens. Remember, 367 days. That will soon become 516 if we don't take a stand now. You're going to hear from some JCPS parents right now who have had their lives uprooted because of the inaction of this administration and this school board, and because of the utter failure of NTI. You're going to hear about once excellent students who are now failing. You're going to hear about relationships between parents and children that are falling to pieces, about children falling into the depths of depression, stress, anxiety, anger, and loneliness. You're going to hear about kids in our district right now that are failing on NTI. Now at the end, we're happy to take questions. We're happy to speak with you individually. For now, I'm going to ask all that be held off until the end. I'd like to introduce Allison first. She is the parent of 2 JCPS students, and she's going to tell you the price she's paid for being on NTI and what this has done to her and to her family. So I'm going to turn it over now to Allison for a few minutes.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Allison Clayman. I have 2 JCPS students, a 3rd grader and a 6th grader. One of my children has autism, the other has dyslexia. Throughout this process, the implementation of my daughter's IEPs is severely slacking. They are not getting the proper assistance and the proper education that they need in order to be successful students. Also, because one of my children has a special need, she will not attend a daycare or child care facility where she does not know anyone, she does not trust strangers, and she does not feel comfortable in those environments. With her being out of school, this is causing me to have to be out of work since March of last year and live off of unemployment benefits. This is not what I want for my family or for my children. I should be allowed to work and provide for my kids. Another point that I would like to make is the amount of screen time that my children endure on a weekly basis. They are literally in front of a screen from 8 o'clock in the morning until 3 o'clock in the afternoon. This has caused my child to have severe headaches. I had to buy special blue light glasses just for her to be able to endure the amount of screen time that she's getting. Also, I don't have any family. I grew up in foster care. I don't have that support system to help me watch my kids while I go out to work. So I'm stuck at home with 2 kids living off of unemployment while trying to educate my children. Because during their class times, all they're doing is going over the work that's in Google Classroom and that they're expected to complete. They're not actually being taught those assignments. So I have to stop what I'm doing to teach them those assignments while I also attend college full-time online. This is causing my family great stress and anxiety. I know that some board members are stating that it doesn't matter if we go back for just a few weeks, but it matters to families and it matters to the children. My autistic daughter has become severely depressed with being out of school and being unable to social interact with other children. It is causing her to regress deeply. I've had to sought out extra therapeutic assistance for her just because of NTI. The few extra weeks do matter, and we urge the board to put our kids back in school.
Hi, my name is Jennifer Jones. I have a 1st grader and a 2nd grader and a 2-year-old at home. When NTI started, my children could barely read, but they were expected and are expected to have at most 2 hours to 2 hours and 20 minutes of school a day. And then the rest of the day are videotaped lessons and assignments that they have to do themselves. Children this age can't quite comprehend assignments themselves, so it requires parents' full involvement. I run a small business from home. I also have a 2-year-old. So every time I spend time with my children, helping them with schoolwork, which needs to be the entire time they are doing their independent work, I'm also risking the safety of my 2-year-old, as she cannot be fully watched if I'm engaged with my children. Therefore, I typically obviously choose the safety of my 2-year-old. And if I choose to bring her into the rooms where my children are doing NTI, it's obviously a complete disruption, and around we go. This is not a way that children should be learning. Last year, my children loved school. They loved learning, and they were doing great. Fast forward through NTI, my children absolutely despise school. They do not like learning. It often erupts into screaming matches, like so many families tell me. The children do not want their parents to be their teachers. They do not want their parents to make their assignments. And it is a war zone with families at home who are trying to have their children learn, but parents are not teachers, and unfortunately teachers are not there. It's at a point where myself, along with other parents, have waved the white flag and said, what more can we do? The relationship between parents and children is deteriorating because we have kept children out of school. Don't let the board tell you that it's not possible with our school side. This is untrue. Cities, larger districts around the country are back in school, and everything is going as planned. They're able to make it work. We can make it work, but our board has to think about children first, and that is not what is happening. Children are not being thought of first here, and that needs to change. I have heard many teachers say that you have between kindergarten and 4th grade to make a child fall in love with learning. Time is running out. These poor children, they don't love learning. They're going day after day of no school, and they are going to miss this very small window where they have an opportunity to fall in love with learning. We need to change this and give children a chance, and we have to speak up for those that can't speak up for themselves.
My name's Brooke. When my son and I started NTI last year, it was hard. Learning how to maneuver through a whole new learning process, the technology aspect was challenging and seemed to be changing daily. But nothing would prepare me for the road ahead. My 7-year-old son, Jack, who's always loved learning, became a different person. He became uncontrollably angry, depressed, defeated, anxious, and sad. Not to mention that the once strong relationship him and I had, it was just crumbling right in front of me. His relationship with his twin sisters that are 4 also have been strained. And the hatred he has for the NTI learning, I'm afraid, will inevitably rub off on my twins that are 4. I've taken my son, Jack, to several doctors because I'm extremely worried about his emotional and mental health. As a single mom of 3, I feel helpless, and we're living in a war zone at our house. And I was under the impression that JCPS had our children's best interest in mind, but this cannot be it. Let them learn.
We're going to wrap things up here shortly, folks, but first we're going to hear from one more parent, and then Pastor Stevenson is going to come up and take us home. First, I wanted to remind the public of one thing before that happens. You may not be someone who agrees that your child should be back in NTI, or should be back in school, rather. And that's fine. That's fine, because what we're fighting for is the right to have a choice. What's on the line right now is our right to have a voice and to have a choice. If we don't stand up to this school board now, we may never have that right again. A vote to return kids to school now means if you want your child to stay on NTI, that's fine. You as a parent have a right to decide that for your own child. But you as a parent also have the right to decide that your child belongs in school. That is your right as a parent, and you know best for your child and your family. This is a very dangerous time that we live in right now. Right now, the school board has complete unchecked power and control, and they are abusing it badly. You used to have a say in things. You used to be able to attend public school board meetings. But this board and this district administration has taken that right from you. They've taken your voice and they've silenced you. They've taken your ability to choose what's best for your child and your family. Today, we are challenging the school board and this administration once again. Enough's enough. It's been a year. We want to vote now. We want to know when it will be. We want to be there in person. And we want to vote to return to schools now. Much larger districts than ours are doing it and successful. Cincinnati, Atlanta, Houston, Dallas, Chicago. Chicago is 3.5 times the size of this district, and they're able to do it. Jefferson County can do it as well. All the frontline workers agree our schools are ready. We have the measures in place to safely do it, and kids deserve the right to be in school. I'm going to have one more parent come up and give a testimonial, and then we will wrap things up with Pastor Stevenson, and then we're happy to address any questions that you all might have.
Hi, my name is Beanie Gohagen. I'm the mother of 4, but I'm not here to talk about my kids' story. I'm here to talk about the story of 2 kids and their moms, and they didn't feel comfortable sharing their story publicly, so they asked me to do that for them. The first story is about Angela and Natalia. I met Angela and Natalia through our church's NTI program that we offer. It's a learning lab where students can come 5 days a week and spend time with us and do their schoolwork. And Angela brought her daughter Natalia to us because Angela can't help her daughter. They moved here from Flint, Michigan, almost 2 years ago, where Natalia was exposed to the lead water issue. So they came from that. They started out at a different elementary school than where they are now. The teacher quit in the middle of the year, in the middle of the day, and walked out. Natalia has since moved to a different school, but she has not ever entered into the school building. Natalia needs IEP services. She needs to be tested. She needs a lot of help. Angela has her own reading and comprehension issues, so she's not able to help her daughter, who is in 4th grade, with the reading material that she's given. She has tried to talk to the administration and to the teachers, and she can't wade through the paperwork that she's given. She doesn't know the system, so she doesn't know who to go to for help. And she's here by herself. And I talked to her on Sunday several times, begging and pleading for her to come and share her story. And she told me, and it broke my heart when she said this, that they're considering moving back to Flint, Michigan, because Michigan schools are open. So this mother is considering going back to the place where her daughter was exposed to lead water because the schools are open there. The other parent whose story I'm going to share is the parent of, I'm going to call him Nathan, because she didn't want me to use his name. He's a 3rd grader. He's a gifted 3rd grader. He's the kind of kid who in kindergarten was going to 3rd grade classes to read. He was always given extra challenging work. He was the kid who, in the accelerated reading program, his goal every year was to have the most points of anybody in the school. And he achieved that goal most of the time. This is a kid who was always driven and was fed and challenged by the nurturing of the teachers and staff at the school. He told his mom last week he doesn't care anymore. He doesn't care. He's smart enough to know that the expectations have been lowered so much that he has no reason to try anymore. So we have two ends of the spectrum here, and both of these kids are struggling, and both of these moms are fantastic moms and strong advocates for their kids, but they have nowhere to go with their challenges. I was a former teacher in my life before being a stay-at-home mom, and I know that kindergarten through third grade are precious years, and that's when we teach kids to love learning, to love school, to look up to their teachers like heroes. They learn to love their peers. They learn to be excited about learning new things. They nurture that curiosity inside of them. That's when we get them to love that, because when you get to 4th and 5th grade, it becomes a lot less fun. And when you get to middle school, fun doesn't even enter the word a lot of times. And then high school gets more interesting. But those kindergarten through third grade years are so precious and so vital. And we're watching these kids. We've got kindergartners who have never been in a kindergarten classroom. They're not going to learn to love learning by sitting in front of a screen for 2.5 to 3 hours a day. We've got to get these kids back in the classroom. Fayette County just opened. They have 42,000 students. Nashville is opening with 80,000 students. Shelby County, which is Memphis, has 100,000 plus students. They're opening. Jefferson County has 96,000 students. Jefferson County can do it. They have examples to follow. There are schools who have done it successfully. There are districts who have done it successfully. Follow their examples. Follow success. Jefferson County can do it because our kids matter and our kids need to be back in the classroom. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Pastor Jerry Stevenson, pastor of the Midwest Church of Christ and the Chief Operating Officer for the Kentucky Pastors in Action Coalition, a coalition of African American, white American pastors working together, trying to raise the educational level of our children, particularly in West Louisville. We are working with children right there at our congregation right now. We have 15 to 20 children every morning. Their parents are bringing them, and there are others that want to come in, and we're not able to meet their needs because we can only handle so many. Getting these children back in school. Last spring, it was announced by Dr. Polio that 90% of the children at least turned their computers on. However, that leaves, if it's 90,000, that's 9,000 children that has not had any educational meaningful work since last year at this time. And I want to tell you, I can assure you that it was more than 10%. And I estimate anywhere from 20 to 30,000 children are not even engaged in their academic training. And so it is time for the children to go back to school. And the KPAC is, we're just thankful for these parents for their steadfastness and coming out here. But the school board and Dr. Polio needs to get the children back in school. I was asked on yesterday, what is a teacher supposed to do when they come back and they are so far behind? Ladies and gentlemen, that's why the school corporation needs to establish a different format as to how they're going to educate our children. It's going to take a different style of teaching That's where public charter schools and other local initiatives has to be implemented. There are going to be children that can only learn in certain ways. Don't bring the children back to the same old system of teaching that they were failing in then. Now is the greatest opportunity to be able to have academic training that meets the needs of the children, instead of the children have to come and go along with the system that has been in place from the beginning. Some of these children have to be trained different manners, but it's one thing I'm sure: they need to be back in school. And so, KPAC, we are standing behind these teachers, these parents, and these children. I can assure you that NTI, it's not where it needs to be, and we know it's going to take getting these children back in school. God bless you. Thank you, Dave.
Thank you. Thank you, Pastor. We'll open it up now. If anybody has any questions, we can take those now. You're welcome to meet with people one-on-one individually. I'm not going to go into any depth on any personal stories from any parents. You can talk to them individually you want, but I'll answer any questions you might have. You know, that the answer to that question has evolved and changed with new data from the CDC, local expert medical advice. It's evolved and it's evolved and it's evolved. In the last 30 days, it's become abundantly clear that it is safe. The board was very reserved on making that decision because as spoken by Linda Duncan of District 5, they did not have the medical expertise to answer medical questions. Well, February 2nd, they got that medical advice. Dr. Sarah Moyer and Drs. Connie White appeared as guests at the board meeting and overwhelmingly supported it from a medical standpoint that it was safe to return to schools.
She told me to stand with you.
That answer your question? Anybody else? All right, well, I want to thank you for coming. We'll be on standby if you'd like to talk to anybody individually. Again, thanks for your time. Pastor Stevenson, thank you for coming. And, I mean, all these parents, we can't thank them enough. So, appreciate it. God bless.